My husband and I recently took a luxury trip to Europe on points. The sticker price would have been in the tens of thousands of dollars if paid for out of pocket, and the countries we visited were just based on where I happened to find good flight deals in and out of Europe on the dates that we wanted to travel. In today's tutorials, I'm going to break down how much each piece of the trip cost and how you can recreate a similar trip using points and miles. Okay, let's jump right in with how we booked our business class flights over to Serbia. The first leg of our trip was flying Turkish Airlines business class from Seattle through Istanbul into Belgrade, Serbia. So we booked this one by transferring Chase points over to United, and it was about 80,000 points per person one way. If you're interested in doing a similar trip, here's how I would search for it on united.com. So I would select one way, book with miles, flexible dates. And then for this route, we flew from Seattle, and then for Belgrade, it is airport code BEG. You can select whatever month you want to travel to, so I'm going to search far out into the future for 2 adults, and then business class. Then go ahead and click find flights. And here we see there's no availability for July 2026. And then from here, I would just keep clicking backwards until we find something that is available. So here in June, I don't know why it's saying 44,000 because that should be the economy price, but let's see if there's anything in business class with United. Here it looks like the business class seats are all still really expensive at 245,000 points. But here, now the calendar has updated and we see that at the end of May 26 or 27, there are a couple dates where you can book this for 88,000 points per person, one way in business class. Let's see if this is in Turkish Airlines. All right, both of these are mixed cabin, which isn't really what we're looking for, and it's got multiple stops. So if we need a way to fast track this search a little bit, I would also search on seats.aero, click on explore from North America over to Europe. If you have the pro version, you can search full year out, and then under airlines, I would scroll down and select Turkish Airlines business class. Here we can select what dates might have good business class availability. And let's say we just want to search from Seattle, we can filter that down over here. And it looks like there's some stuff in April, January, February, earlier May. And then what we want to do is check on United to see if this connects into Serbia. So let's pick one of these other dates. It looks like there is a bit of availability in January or February. So let's go ahead and search there. I'm going to go back to the homepage of United, Seattle over to Belgrade. In January for 2 adults in business class, make sure to check book with miles and flexible dates, then click business. So as you can see, the search aggregator makes this a little bit faster. And on seats.aero, if we're looking in January specifically, looks like we might be able to find something on January 12, 22, 18, 30, 26. There's a few different dates to choose from. And here we can see it's 88,000 points across the board. A lot of these do have 2 stops, which is not what we're looking for. Let's try the 12th or 13th because seats.aero says there should be availability there. Everything we're seeing currently does have 2 stops. So one other thing you might be able to do here is just search from Seattle over to Istanbul, where it's not going to connect you through the Belgrade route like the one I'm seeing, but this just kind of goes to show that you can't conjure award availability. It is a bit of an iterative process. So let's try this one more time where we just want to do the Seattle to Istanbul route, and then it's a pretty quick hop from Istanbul over to Belgrade, Serbia, in case you're not able to ticket everything on the exact same itinerary the way I was able to. All right, I was able to find one here on the 18th from Seattle direct to Istanbul, 88,000 points per person one way plus $6 in taxes and fees. Let's do one more try to see if we can ticket this from Seattle through Istanbul into Belgrade, or if not, then you can just do the 12-hour direct flight from Seattle to Istanbul, spend a day there, or go ahead and just connect through to Belgrade on a separate ticket. Let's try one more time now that we know what specific date we should try to ticket this on. And here we do see Seattle through Istanbul into Belgrade, 88,000 points plus $13 in taxes and fees. So this is how you would be able to book the same route that I am flying on Turkish Airlines business class with United. Here it's showing 88,000 miles. When I booked this, there was a 9% discount because I had the United Explorer card. I've since downgraded that card, so it looks like it is not showing the card member savings for me here, but it does show it for economy. So your miles may vary. Let me know if you want to fly this route and what kind of pricing you're seeing on united.com. If you have a specific trip that you're looking to do on points, you can request a free personalized tutorial for how to book it. Just go to geobreezetravel.com/request and be sure to check out our free weekly newsletter every Monday to see if your request was the one that we picked and prepared. Speaking of hotels, next up is how we booked our hotels in each country and a couple techniques to save on luxury suites and hotel brands. Once we reached Serbia, the hotel that we stayed at was the St. Regis Belgrade in Serbia. And if you want to stay 3 nights like we did, here's how I recommend finding award availability. So you'll want to go to rooms.aero, then click on Explore, then Marriott Bonvoy. For a number of nights, I would select 3 nights, or if you're staying for 5 nights and you want the Marriott 5th night free, you can select that. Under countries, I would search for Serbia and then click only here. Your value of cents per point is probably not going to be super high unless you're applying a suite upgrade certificate like I'm going to show you in a little bit. You'll go ahead and click any cents per point here, and here you see a whole bunch of different nights where you could stay at the St. Regis Belgrade for at least 3 nights in a row. So once you find this on seats.aero, what you can do next is search for the hotel directly on Marriott's website. So let's say that we like this one, it's on Valentine's Day, 41,000 points per night. So here on the Marriott website, we would say St. Regis Belgrade, 3 days starting on Valentine's Day, use points and awards, and then click find hotels. I also like to always convert the price into dollars so it's easier for me to calculate cents per point in my head here. So here we can see it's 123,000 points per stay or $404 per night. If we run that math, it's going to be 404 times 3 divided by 123,000 points. That's slightly less than 1 cent per point, which is not fantastic. But in my account, I have a lot of these Marriott suite upgrade certificates from hitting 50 elite nights or 75 elite nights in a calendar year. So I'm going to try to apply these on the St. Regis Belgrade, and if I am able to do that, then the cents per point valuation goes up quite a bit because depending on the room that we end up booking, let's go ahead and say not using points and awards, it would normally be $438 per night here, or if we get upgraded to the river room, then it's more like $1,658 per room. So let's say that would be a 1.3 cent per point redemption. If we get upgraded to a junior suite, that's about $3,400 for the stay. Then we're looking at more like 2.8 cents per point, which is fantastic for Marriott. And I don't think that they would upgrade us to anything higher than the junior suite. There's probably no way that we get upgraded to the Caroline Astor suite. But if we did, it would be about $6,600 of value for the 3 nights, which would be a 5.3 cent per point redemption, which would be crazy for Marriott. So I'll flash up on the screen here what ended up happening with our suite upgrade certificates, if we got upgraded, if we got Bonvoyed. Check it out on the YouTube channel in case you are listening to this on the audio only version. After a few days in Serbia, we flew over to Vienna, Austria, and stayed at the Park Hyatt in Vienna. So this is how you can get a ton of value out of your Hyatt points, even if you don't have that many Hyatt points, especially if you are optimizing for cents per point rather than lowest out-of-pocket cost. So here I'm going to search for the Park Hyatt Vienna, and I'm just going to look for dates that are very far out in the calendar. Let's say that we just wanted to do 1 night for now out in July 2026. What you want to look for here is when you scroll down, click on suites, and you want to make sure that the Diplomat suite is available. Then you want to click on +2 rates, and you want to look for upgrade premium suite. So it's going to be some amount of money plus 9,000 points. And I know that this looks really steep where you're looking at $852 plus 9,000 points and you're like, oh my God, it's $852. But if you were to look at the retail value of this particular hotel room, we'll look at suites, we'll look at the Diplomat suite, but as you can see, the standard rate here is $3,800. You could also get the members advance purchase of $3,085, but I don't know about you, but I am not going to advance purchase something that's $3,000 to where it becomes not cancelable. So I would compare this to the standard rate, and here's how you would calculate your cents per point. So if we want to look at the upgrade value of using those 9,000 points, you would use the retail value of the rate, which is $3,838, minus anything that you have to pay out of pocket, so that would be the $852 base rate, divided by the 9,000 point. For this particular date out in July 2026, 33 cents per point, where you could use 9,000 points to upgrade from effectively the standard room, which is about $850, up to the Diplomat suite, which is more than $3,500. And if you're wondering what is so cool about this Diplomat suite, it is huge. It is a little bit older of a hotel, but this hotel room is fantastic. The hotel itself is located in the heart of Vienna. You have this gigantic bathroom in your room as well. And here's the floor plan of the room where you can see, here's the bedroom, here's the living room, here's the dining room, here's the bathroom. There is a lot of space to stretch out in this hotel. So if you only have 9,000 points or so and you're okay with using the points for an upgrade from an expensive room to a very expensive suite without having to pay a couple more $1,000s, using these different suite upgrade rates is a fantastic use of Hyatt points to stretch your points very far. After Austria, we flew over to Norway because that's where I could find a flight home from. So for our hotel stay in Norway, we stayed a couple days at the Samara, which is part of the Ascend collection. If you want to find points availability for choice, it's important to remember that they only let you book points hotels up to 100 days out. So here for choice, if you wanted to find availability, I would recommend going to rooms.aero, clicking on explore, then choice privileges, and then under countries, select Norway only, and then I would say any cents per point here. And that's because for whatever reason, a lot of the dollars currencies that it would compare to for the cents per point calculation is populating as NA. So it's showing you what dates are available to book on points, but it's not showing you what the cash value would be otherwise. So we'll calculate cents per point in just a bit, but if you find something here on rooms.aero, it's always important to cross-check it on the Choice Hotels website as well. So here we've gone to choicehotels.com. We've searched for the destination of Oslo, Norway. I picked some random dates out at the end of August, and then I want to see the reward points rates. Here you'll also select show points, and here we do see the Samara, part of the Ascend Hotel collection, and it's only 12,000 points per night. There are a couple of ways you can move points into here. The two best ways to do this would be if you have city thank you points, you can move them at a 1 to 2 rate, or if you have Wells Fargo rewards with something like the Wells Fargo autograph journey, you can move those at a 1 to 2 rate as well. And that means you only need 6,000 points per night in order to book something like the Samara, which is a really pretty hotel located near the waterfront of Oslo. Look at all these rooms. And it's a pretty new hotel as well, so everything's modern, nothing's falling apart yet, which is always a plus too. And if we were to look at the dollar value of these, it looks like it would be about 4,500 Norwegian krona, which is about $442 once you convert that over. So if you only need to transfer over 6,000 points from either Choice or Wells Fargo over to Choice Hotels in order to get a $442 hotel redemption, that is a really good points valuation because that's like you're getting 7.4 cents per point. However, at the time that I needed to book this a few months ago, I did not yet have my City Strata Elite. I did not have any City thank you points that I could move over, no Wells Fargo points that I could move over. So I instead bought Choice Privileges points when they were on sale. For our stay at the Samara, I needed a total of 24,000 points to stay the 2 nights. And so we just purchased the points for these. I spent about $173 for 24,000 points based off of their point sale that they had, and ended up getting about 772 values for the 2 nights that we stayed. So flipping $173 into a $772 hotel stay is not bad at all. Up next, let's talk about our business class flights back from Europe to the United States, where I am so glad I was able to use some points that were stuck in my frequent flyer account from last year's Europe trip when we had to change plans at the last minute due to a flight schedule change. And then for our return flight from Europe, we flew back from Oslo back to Los Angeles and then took a positioning flight from Los Angeles back to Las Vegas. So here, the way that you would find availability for this on Air France would be to search from Oslo over to LAX. And this is after you log into either airfrance.us or KLM, click book with miles one way from Oslo to Los Angeles, leave the departure date blank. I would search for 2 adults and then select business class. From here, go ahead and click search flights. And then the nice thing about the Air France website is it'll show you what days are cheapest to fly back. So if you wanted a last minute thing, it looks like you can fly 2 people for 120,000 points total in business class one way in August. Otherwise, most of these other dates are showing 163,000 points, and that's for 2 people. So that's a little bit more than 80,000 points per person one way in business class, which is not bad. But let's say that you wanted to jump on this last minute one on August 26th, 120,000 points. Fully aware that by the time you see this video, August 26th may have come and gone, but this is just for examples purposes. You want to make sure you sort by lowest price, and here you're going to see Oslo through Paris into LAX, and it's just a 4.5-hour layover in Paris, which is just about perfect, and the entire thing is in business class. And then from here, I would just transfer points from Amex or Capital One one or pretty much anything into Air France and book through here. After that, we just took a positioning flight back home from LAX over to Las Vegas. For that one, ideally, I would use something like American Airlines because I have status with them, but the way that the schedules and the pricing was working out, we did not have any good options with American Airlines, so we just ended up flying from LAX over to Las Vegas with United. When you're doing positioning flights, if there's no good points things and there's no positioning flights that are being included for you or anything else like that, I would always just check Google Flights, done on whatever date that you have to fly back with your positioning flight. And here there's a couple of Spirit ones, which I wouldn't want to do that, but you can do all of your filters here, say nonstop only. And also, if you want to download the free Points Path Chrome extension, which is how I'm getting these little pop-ups on my Google Flights, which will show you, is it better to do points or is it better to do money? Then all you need to do is Google Points Path, click on this first link, and then download the free extension from here. Our last walkthrough covers the total cost of the trip in points and money and how much value we got out of our points to save the tens of thousands of dollars off the sticker price of this trip. And if you're interested in leveling up your points and miles game and maximizing your points too, we have a couple of options for you. The first one is the GeoBreeze Travel Patreon, which you can join starting at just $5 per month through patreon.com/GeoBreezeTravel. Every month, we prepare personalized step-by-step tutorials for the routes that our members request. We also provide open forum group coaching, where you can ask any questions that you have about points, miles, and credit cards in general. And we sometimes talk through the things that I don't really mention on social media. And if you are looking to get even more free travel with points, and you are a business owner or high cash flow professional who spends more than $100,000 per year on expenses, check out our one-on-one client service. We typically save our clients more than $30,000 in travel in the first 6 to 12 months of working with our team. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, book a free intro chat with us at geobreezetravel.com/intro call to learn more. Let's walk through the total cost of the trip. All right, so let's go over each piece of the trip and how much the total trip cost. So this one, there is a higher percentage of cash paid versus total value of the trip, as you'll see, but the cents per point is decently high. So the first leg was our positioning flight from Las Vegas over to Seattle, which we just paid for with money. It was $227 for the 2 tickets. Then we spent the night in Seattle before continuing on to Europe in Turkish Airlines business class. So our Seattle hotel, we used the Marriott 35K free night certificate that comes with my Marriott Bonvoy business card. So that one was no cash paid out of pocket, and it had a retail value of $240. After that, we flew Seattle through Istanbul into Belgrade on Turkish Airlines business class on the new A350 plane, and this was redeemed by transferring Chase over to United. Since I had the United Explorer card, there was also a little bit of a cardholder discount to where it was 80,000 points per person one way, and then the taxes and fees were about $26 for 2 people. Retail value of that flight for 2 tickets one way would have been $8,648, which means I got a cents per point valuation of about 5.4 cents per point, which is not bad at all. Then once we were in Belgrade, we stayed at the St. Regis Belgrade. And this was probably one of my best Marriott redemptions to date because I used 111,000 Marriott points for 3 nights. And then there was $5 taxes for some reason. But I also applied some suite upgrade certificates, and normally they never clear. But for this one, I was so happy that they cleared and we got upgraded all the way to the Caroline Astor suite, which was one of the more expensive suites they have on site. It's about $1,700 US per night to stay in that suite. So the retail value for the 3 nights was $5,211. And so the cents per point with Marriott points, which is ridiculous, is 4.7. Normally we're struggling to even pull off 1 cent per point, but with this, it was such a good deal. After our stay in Serbia, then we just flew over to Vienna in Austrian Air Economy because that was a short hop flight and it was direct in economy, whereas if I wanted to do anything with business class or points, it was gonna route through Finland or something, and I wanted to just spend more time at the Park Hyatt Vienna. So for this one, we paid $467 cash for 2 tickets one way in Austrian Air Economy. Once we got to Vienna, I made a little bit of a gamble, and sometimes you gamble and win and sometimes you lose, and this one was not really a win. So originally I had booked the Diplomat Suite using the UP Suite upgrade rate, which was the base rate plus 9,000 points per night to go from a base room all the way up to the Premium Suite, which was the Diplomat Suite. I had that booked for 3 nights, but I also had a free night certificate with my Hyatt Globalist status, which got me a category 1 through 7, and Park Hyatt Vienna is a category 7. So what I did was I booked a standard room and then canceled one of the 3 nights that I had booked. So I was hoping I could just say, hey, I have the standard room booked for 1 night and the Diplomat Suite booked for 2 nights. How much would it be to just link the reservations together so I can be in the Diplomat Suite all 3 nights? They weren't going to give me a free upgrade for that, and unfortunately, the cash upgrade rate was pretty steep. It was about 1,200 euro, which is close to $1,500. So for the first night in the Diplomat Suite, it was like getting a $3,000 room for about half off, which is not great, because what would have been better would have been to just let the free night certificate go to waste and pay the UP Suite upgrade rate all 3 nights. And so here for the second 2 nights, I paid a total of 18,000 Hyatt points plus about $1,400, so $700 per night as the base rate. And those 2 nights had a retail value of about $6,100 for the 2 nights. So here I was getting 26 cents per point because the rate difference, even though we had to pay $700 per night, the rate difference of going from a $700 room to a $3,000 room and just using 9,000 points to do that upgrade is crazy good. So I would have been better just saying, let's just not use the free night certificate, but in the end, you win some, you lose some. Next, we flew Austrian Air Economy once again. This one I had actually booked before the flight from Belgrade to Vienna, and I had a little bit of a Venture X credit left. I had about $15 on that. It was a $411 flight, so I ended up using the last $15 of my Venture X credit and paying $396. Also, for both of the Austrian Air Economy flights, I earned 5 points per dollar with the Capital One portal, so that's decent earning there. Once in Oslo, we stayed at the Samaro, which is an Ascend hotel collection. I purchased about $173 worth of Choice Hotel points, and then from that I was able to buy 24,000 points and flip that into $772 of hotel stays, getting me about 3.2 cents per point for the 2 nights at the Samaro in Oslo. After that, we could have booked 3 nights at the Samaro, but we had a really early flight out of Oslo, so we stayed near an airport hotel for the last night at the Park Inn by Radisson, which I booked through the American Airlines portal and got 4,000 American Airlines miles off of those $204. So earned about 20 points per dollar there, which is not bad. And then we flew Air France business class from Oslo through Paris into Los Angeles for a total of 155,000 points plus $468 in taxes and fees for 2 tickets, which combined had a retail value of about $5,084. So with that Air France return flight, we got about 3 cents per point. And then of course we had to get back home to Las Vegas, so that last positioning flight was just an Amex Platinum credit, where we used our Amex Platinum to get some United Travel Bank credits, and the 2 tickets were $171, which we got credited back. So all in all, for this trip, the total retail value would have been just short of $30,000. We used $186 of statement credits between the United Travel Bank credits on the Amex Platinum and the $15 that I had left on my Venture X for business. Total cash paid was pretty high on this trip. It was $4,464, and total points paid were 468,000 points. So this got us to a total cents per point redemption of about 5.4 cents per point across the entire trip, averaged across all of the different redemptions, where the Park Hyatt Vienna, for a couple nights, we got 26 cents per point, which was really good. And then on the return flight from Paris, that was our low point of about 3 cents per point, which is still not bad. So my cash percentage outlay for this one is a bit higher than most of our trips. Usually I'll aim for this number to be less than 10%, but here our total cash outlay was about $4,464 for a trip that had a retail value of $29,696. So that ratio is 14.4%. This doesn't include all the usual things like Globalist breakfast, or the St. Regis Belgrade also gave us breakfast as a welcome amenity. There was the champagne sabering there. It also doesn't include other costs, like my wallet got stolen in Belgrade and I lost $500 in cash there, but got the wallet back within about 8 hours. So if you want to hear that story, check out the highlight on my Instagram from all of the different trip reports. But let me know what you think of these redemptions. Is this a trip that you would want to do? Is there anything that you would change other than not messing with a Park Hyatt Vienna Diplomat Suite free night certificate because that was a gamble that I lost. But if there's anything else that you would change for if you decide to take this trip in the future, let us know in the comments. I hope you found those tutorials useful. Also, let me know what other types of tutorials you would like to see. In the meantime, if you enjoyed these tutorials, I think you'll enjoy this video next.